Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Today we are celebrating the appearance of Srimati Radharani and also who else? Anyone know? Haridas Thakur. Well, we could celebrate that, but we don't usually on this day. Vishaka Devi also appears on this day. So to speak about Srimati Radharani is very difficult because to understand Radha is most difficult. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavang vang prapadite vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. It's very difficult, even for very learned people. Learned here means in Vedic knowledge, to understand Krishna, to understand that Krishna is all in all. Such a person who does understand Krishna, surrenders to Krishna, such a Mahatma, a great soul, is very rare. It's very rare to find anyone who understands Krishna. Of course, there are many people who may think that they understand Krishna. Lord Brahma doesn't understand Krishna, at least according to himself. He doesn't understand Krishna. You know that verse? Jananta eva janantu kim bahute name prabhu manasa vachasa artha vaibhavang tavagochara. He says that people may say, I understand Krishna. But Lord Brahma says, I don't. Even by all my efforts, by my mental efforts, and he's millions of times more intelligent than Einstein, Lord Brahma. He created the apparatus by which Einstein could be Einstein. And all that E equals MC squared stuff, well, Lord Brahma set it up, and Einstein discovered it a bit later. Not fully. Lord Brahma knows what's going on in this material world. But he says, I don't understand Krishna. Krishna is not easy to understand. Who can understand Krishna? Even many people who say they believe in God, they don't understand Krishna. Some people say they believe in God, and some people say they don't believe in God. When people tell me they don't believe in God, I ask them, which God don't they believe in? And the God they don't believe in, I also usually don't believe in the God they don't believe in either, because the idea of God that's marketed generally is pretty much off target. They don't know who is God because they have a vague idea. There's some supreme controller. That's some kind of a good start, but it doesn't really describe who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada always used this term, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not just God. People say, God, God. What are they talking about? They also don't know. They may think they know. So to understand God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's to understand Him, Krishna. We say Krishna, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada didn't accept the proposal that he name the society the International Society for God Consciousness. The term God is too vague. Krishna exactly fits the description of God given in the Vedic literature. Veda means knowledge. So actual knowledge of God means to understand this is this person whose qualities are unlimited. What makes him God? What makes him God? What are these 6 qualities that, if possessed in full, that person can be called God, otherwise not? Say it? Yoshaiva Shandang Bhaga Itingina. These 6 bhagas which make Bhagavan. the 6 qualities that make him God, to possess all these things in full, all wealth, all power, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. If one has these in full, that person can be said. That person is God, no one else. So, Krishna has all these in full. Therefore, he is God. God is often conceived of in an impersonal way. This William James, was it? He wrote this psychology. He tried to study this from a psychological point of view. He believed in God as a mental person. That was his idea. Einstein, similarly, his belief in God was as the laws of the universe. That is God. That was his. So there are various conceptions, or concepts rather, of God, not as a person. Or if they think of him as a person, they think of him, or Michelangelo conceived of him, or was at least commissioned to paint a picture of him, sitting on a cloud. He's up there somewhere. So he's probably on a cloud. We didn't see him, so he's probably sitting on a cloud, and looking down angrily, and throwing down punishments at all the sinful people below. And he has a long beard, because, well, he's old, and looks pretty old. He's the oldest person. So they don't understand God. This is a useless idea. This is an idea. It's a personal idea, but it's not a nice idea. God is not nice. God is all good, they say, but it's good to us. We believe in Him, and we don't like the others, so they can all go to hell with God's blessings. So this is their idea, due to lack of knowledge. Now, God is a person. This is the first. If at all we are to understand God, we have to understand He's a person. And what kind of person He is? Well, the anti-religionists or the atheists, they condemn this anthropomorphism, that we can consider God in terms of who we are, but actually it's round the other way. We are coming from Him. So He is a person. That personality is Krishna. That we can, who is He? That there is a supreme controller that we can understand somewhat logically. There should be someone who set all this, everything up. Just like we can understand in any country there should be a president. Someone asked this last night. God or Krishna? So, God is the name of the position, just like president is the name of the position. So, the President of the United States is, for a few more weeks, George Bush. Maybe not even for a few more weeks, but at least for a few more weeks, George Bush. So the President is his position. His personal name is George Bush, and he has personal likes and dislikes. Being a person, he likes to eat certain things for breakfast, which we probably shouldn't discuss here, but he has personal tastes, likes and dislikes. And he has his own, apart from being the President of the United States, every American citizen has a relationship with him, mostly indirectly, or not very closely, but he has his own personal friends also. He has his wife, his father's probably still alive, is it? Yes. Didn't hear him being dead yet. And sons and daughters, I don't know much about it, but probably he has some sons and daughters also.
No sons, 2 daughters.
He has
2 daughters.
2 daughters, all right. So anyway, although his daughters and his father are also citizens of the United States, and in official terms they have the same, as Americans, they have the same relation to him as any other American, but as his family members, they're very close to him, and his wife may sometimes get on his case, and as far as she's concerned, he is her husband, and his being the president is secondary. Whereas to everyone else, or to most people in America, his being the president is the role they perceive him in, and that he has a wife and children, well, that's secondary. To them it's not very important. So what's this got to do with Radharani? It's supposed to be speaking about Radharani. Well, the first thing is that to understand Krishna is not very easy, because we may even, if we are somewhat pious, we may accept that God is a person, but then to know his personality, one has to be very close to him. Of course, you could probably read a biography of George Bush in which it describes his intimate family dealings, but actually these things, they should be private. Why should the personal life of the president be known to everyone? It's his private life, what he does intimately. And even if we read about it, we can read about it, but we're still an outsider. So to understand Radha means to understand what from our terms would be Krishna's mistress, and that's really quite confidential. Probably his wife is not supposed to know about it either. So what to speak about? I'm not saying George Bush has a mistress, but just theoretically speaking here. It would be very secret, isn't it? It's really not meant for everyone. And that's why discussion of Radha, it's not meant for everyone, even for devotees. There are many devotees of Krishna who worship him as Narayana, Lakshmi Narayana, Sita Rama, Dwarakadhish, Rukmini, Dwarakadhish. But Krishna in Vrindavan, that's Krishna being himself. He is, of course, God. He is, of course, Lakshmipati, Sitapati, Rukminish. These are names of him as God, and God the supreme enjoyer. But when he's supremely enjoying his supreme enjoyership, then he's enjoying in Vrindavan with Radharani. So it's not really a public subject, and even someone may be very advanced in understanding Krishna, but to understand Radha is a very secret matter actually. And the dealings that Krishna has with Radha are very difficult to understand, because the tendency to misunderstand them is so strong. If we, just like I was saying, Radharani is Krishna's mistress. If we say that, then immediately the idea of there's something very wrong here. In standard morality, for a married man to have a mistress is, in most cultures in the world, considered something very wrong. So, it cannot be wrong, because God is all good. And even if we think it's wrong, it doesn't matter, because He's God. So, He sets the rule. He sets the rules. And if we think that He's wrong, we're wrong. Because He's always right. He is absolute. Actually, there's nothing wrong if we understand from the point of view of, we're trying to discuss here from the point of view of tattva gyan, philosophy. To understand God, first we have to understand philosophically. The jnanis, they want to understand philosophically. Eventually they understand Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Krishna is all in all. Then they surrender to Krishna. Surrender means that we enter going beyond philosophy, practical. What is our relationship with Krishna? We are His servants, so we have to. This term is used, surrender. It's an English word. It's used by Srila Prabhupada to describe the Sanskrit word, which is more appropriate. It's Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavang bang prapadyante. The sharana, sharanam or prapannam means the state, prapatti means surrender. It means dedicating oneself fully, without any reservations. Fully means without reservations. And sharanam, these two terms are practically synonymous, to place oneself in the shelter of this Krishna. So then there becomes a relationship. It's not just theoretical. So Radha mostly is discussed. Mostly there'll be stories told on Radhashtami of Radha, pastimes of Radha and Krishna. This is from the perspective of rasa. This can be understood. What is rasa? That is something wonderful. Literally, that's what rasa means. We use this word wonderful a lot. Rasa means that which produces great wonder. That's Bhakti rasa means the wonder in the exchange. One is a devotee of Krishna, and in serving Krishna, so much wonder is, wonderful feelings are produced within the purified heart. Srimad Bhagavatam describes Radha and Krishna. It starts with apparently describing only Krishna, and eventually comes to the point of describing Radha, and that also indirectly. There's tattva. This Srimad Bhagavatam starts off with a declaration of tattva to describe philosophically who is Krishna. So even the first verse, if we discuss in detail, or even it's a very big subject. Who is Krishna? Described in the first verse of Bhagavatam. He is the first statement. He is the source of all emanations. Everything comes from Krishna. Everything is maintained by Krishna. Everything is destroyed by Krishna. He's directly and indirectly conscious of everything. He is the Supreme Person. And then in the third verse of Bhagavatam, we are asked not to be simply philosophers, not only philosophers, but to come to the point of philosophy, which is to become a madman, actually. In the third verse of Bhagavatam, we are asked to become muhuraho, pivata bhagavata rasamalayam, muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. Become a bhavuka. Bhavuka means for those who are not bhavuks, it means a sentimental fool. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was accused by Prakashananda Saraswati as being running around like a madman. So actually that's true. But this kind of madman is the person who can understand the philosophy of Krishna. Or those who have understood the philosophy, when they stop looking at Krishna and thinking, here are his titles, he's got more titles than any president of America could possibly run up, or any soldier could run up. He has all the titles. He has all the glories. Everyone praises Krishna, except fools and rascals. So, Krishna is undoubtedly, undisputably, incomparably, far, far above anyone else. Those who understand this can understand that how great is Radha, because Krishna, who is the greatest of the great, just absolutely in a different category to anyone else. And literally, he's in a different category to everyone else. He is Vishnu, Tattva. Then he himself feels himself to be under the control of Radha, to be the servant of Radha. So this way we can maybe just a little bit try to get some idea of how great is Radha. If we hear for a long time we may begin to appreciate what are the qualities, what is the greatness of Krishna. Having understood how great is Krishna, he is categorically so great, far, far above us. It's very difficult to accept, if we only accept philosophically, that there is someone even above him. Well, is Radha above Krishna or Krishna above Radha? Well, it's difficult to say. Because philosophically, Krishna is the supreme truth. But then he himself subordinates himself to Radha. So, yes, Krishna is supreme, but in Vrindavan, Radha is supreme. So the Gauriya Vaishnavas, they especially worship Radha. But that is not separately, because Radha and Krishna, they're always combined. So the Gauriya Vaishnavas, or the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or in simple language, the members of the Hare Krishna movement that is now spread all over the world, we're preaching everywhere. Krishna is supreme. Surrender to Krishna. And after discussing this in great detail and cultivating the servitude to Krishna for a long time, we may come to the point of accepting that the Gauriya Vaishnava Siddhanta is actually service to Radha. Why is that? Because she's supreme? Well, Krishna likes if we serve her, and she likes if we serve him. And they're both happy to be together, so we serve both together. Radha Krishna Pranamo Jugala Kishore Jivane Marane Goti Arnahimo. Together, worshipping Radha and Krishna. So, what is this? There's someone superior to God? Not really, because Radha is also God. God means the supreme principle, not just a principle, supreme person. But he is complete, there is nothing lacking in him. That's why this impersonal idea, God is just a power. Don't give any name, don't say any name. This is a wrong understanding. Everything is complete. And there's nothing lacking in him. If we say that God is the supreme, but he doesn't eat ice cream, I eat ice cream. That means I have some enjoyment that God doesn't have. So I'm more than God. This is a wrong understanding. He is the supreme person. All enjoyment is his. And our eating ice cream means that, well, if we eat ice cream which is not offered to Krishna, that means that that apparent enjoyment, that is a perverted tendency to enjoy separately from Krishna, that separates us from Krishna. The desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, whatever it may be, that separates us from Krishna. But if we think how to serve Krishna, and he is all bliss, the supreme enjoyer, then we also, even without desiring it, naturally partake in that enjoyment. So he's the supreme enjoyer, and his supreme enjoyment is to be in Vrindavan with Radharani. And everything else in Vrindavan is paraphernalia for everyone else. Everything else means everyone else, because everything in Vrindavan, the supreme spiritual world, the supreme world, there's various divisions. So the topmost area is Vrindavan, where everything is conscious. So everything is a person. The trees can move. They can also move. They may adjust themselves according to Krishna's pastimes. He has some billions of gopis come and dance with him in the rasa dance. So then the trees, they have to make some space. And later on they can get back in position. So that's just an example. Everything's conscious. In Vrindavan, everything is everyone, nothing is unconscious, and everyone works, everything is orchestrated. There's a great choreographer. Purnamasi, she's on the ground level, and she's organizing all the different pastimes. Vrinda Devi, goddess of Vrindavan, they're working together, like the producer and the director, and they arrange everything for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna. So this can be understood that everything is there. Krishna, he's the supreme enjoyer, so he doesn't lack anything. It's not that he's just sitting on some cloud and throwing people into hell. It's a big job because most of them have to go to hell, so it keeps him busy. And from time to time he has an ice cream break. So that's not the supreme enjoyer. The supreme enjoyer means he's always blissful to an extent that we cannot even begin to imagine, because we're in this miserable material world where we think that licking an ice cream that's it, that's our enjoyment, that's our break, and then back to work. But for Krishna there's no work, there's only dancing, there's only singing, there's only dressing, there's only eating, there's only enjoyment. But that enjoyment, for Krishna, he doesn't find any enjoyment in anything without Radha. So she is the female, we can say the female aspect of God. He's not complete without her. Is God a male or a female? They want to make the feminist Bible that our mother who art in heaven, something like this. Or God, in the beginning was the Word, and he or she, probably she. It's been he long enough. Okay, have a sex change operation. But the supreme enjoyer is a male. Now all the feminists will run out. Hey, that's bogus. They're using this to exploit us. But he or she is not only he or she, it's he and she. And the supreme enjoyer is a male, but he doesn't find any enjoyment without female. Where's the enjoyment? There's no enjoyment without Radha. So, again, who is supreme? Well, they're both supreme. And that enjoyment, again, it's very difficult for us to understand because we're addicted to understanding everything in this material world. So that's why we are cautious in discussing the enjoyment of Krishna with Radha, because from our perspective it seems like that between a young boy and a young girl, which is perverted. Of course, in modern morality, nothing's perverted, everything's okay. But from the standpoint of what would be called standard morality, enjoyment between, or relationship between male and female, intimate relationship, should be within marriage. And so, even among Vaishnavas, or devotees of Krishna, there are those who, they worship Sita Ram. Ram is very moral, he's very good. Lakshmi Narayana, Dwarkadish, even some people are a little skeptical there. He has 16,108 queens. Well, that seems too many. That's from our perspective. When Srila Prabhupada, he commented on this, that some people criticize, he has 16,108 queens. And Prabhupada said, yes, and why only 16,108? Why not unlimited? And actually he has unlimited. Dwarka is somewhat limited in 16,108, but Krishna in Vrindavan has billions of gopis. So Krishna is an unlimited supreme enjoyer. And with every gopi, he has a personal, intimate relationship, but all of these gopis, every one of whom would make every famous film star and beauty queen of this world, would put them all to shame and make them all... Well, they're actually, what is this world? Beauty queens of this world means it may look nice, but it's all blood, bones, mucus, pus, bile, etc. inside. But the gopis, they are all transcendental goddesses of fortune. They're all beautiful in a manner which we cannot even begin to imagine. In poetry, the moon is often poets, at least before the world became particularly crazy. Poets used to paint beautiful scenes, and they would poets would write about objects like the moon. The moon is so beautiful. Nowadays no one even sees the moon, because living in a city with all neon lights, you don't even see a moon. Hardly, not clearly. If you go into the outback there, and then behind the mountains, then you'll see. Full moon night. Now it's not, tonight is in the middle. It's Ashtami, Radharani, means between the, this is the Shukla Paksha. So it's between the new moon and the full moon. So the moon at the 8th day of the waxing moon is getting somewhat full, but then on the full moon night becomes the whole sky. You can read a book, even if there's no clouds. You can read a book by moonlight. But the moon looks very beautiful, and poets praise the moon, but the poets who praise Srimati Radharani, they say that, attempting to make some comparison, they say that her face is like many millions of moons. We sing that in the Gaura Arati. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Gauranga. He has taken the bodily color of Radharani. He was Gaurangi, golden colored body. So, Bahu Koti Chandrajani Vadana Ujval. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's face is, its splendor defeats that of many millions of moons. So, in this material world we see moons, we see lotuses. You have lotuses? Can you get lotuses in Portland? Maybe in Seattle you can get? No? I saw in London they had. Maybe they flew them in specially for Janmashtami. But the deities were decorated with lotuses, which I'd never seen outside of Asia before. So the lotus is very beautiful, but the lotus, that's some conception we can get. The lotus, that we say, lotus face. So what is the beauty of Radha? That is, what is the beauty of the gopis? We're talking about the gopis. It's so beautiful, we can just get some idea, begin to understand. With Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochana, with eyes that are smeared with the ointment of bhakti. It's poetic language. Poetry means that there are many metaphors, allegories, to give some idea. So, those whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of bhakti, of pure devotion, they can see Krishna in their heart. So we can, seeing, what does it mean to see? To see means with the eye of devotion. Then one may begin to appreciate. Otherwise we can't appreciate. If we see the gopis or we hear about the gopis without the mood of pure devotion, we can't appreciate, because they can only be appreciated on the platform that they are on, which is beyond the modes of material nature, beyond the spirit of exploitation that pervades the whole material world. Vrindavan is the land of service, and the material world is the land of exploitation, in which everyone is trying to engage everyone and everything else in my service. Everything should be for my enjoyment. Ishwaraham aham bhogi, siddhoham balavan sukhi. Everyone's thinking, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer, I am perfect, I am powerful, me, I, me and mine. So if we hear about or see the Gopis in the mundane, while we're in mundane consciousness, we'll start to think, that is meant for me, is meant for my enjoyment. So then we won't see the Gopis. They cannot be seen by mundane vision. They cannot be understood by mundane vision, mundane understanding. One has to develop transcendental consciousness, which means the consciousness of fully accepting without any reservation that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Without this understanding, one cannot enter Vrindavan, because one will be bewildered. Oh, so many beautiful girls. This is for my enjoy. Let me enjoy. Or why is he enjoying? What's wrong? Why is he doing that? He shouldn't do that. He shouldn't dance with all these gopis. That's wrong. If we think like that, then there's no entrance to Vrindavan. So it's a very secret land. Even someone may get a book and read about it, but one cannot enter in simply by reading. One cannot, there's no, or even by imagining oneself to be there, you cannot go there. It's entrance by invitation only. Not everyone is allowed. And anyone who tries to enter without authorization, they will be thrown back into the material world to go on with their own perverted attempts at enjoying. So such purity is required to enter in it. No, not only should there be no trace of any desire for personal enjoyment, but there should be full desire, totally pervading one's whole being, that how Krishna should be satisfied. Whatever satisfies Krishna, that should be done, without hesitation, without question. That is why Radharani is most glorious. Anaya Radhita Nunam Bhagavan Haririshvara. She is the one who worships Krishna the best. She is the best servant. All the serving tendency, the serving tendency of the flowers and trees and the water and the sky of Vrindavan, that all comes from Radharani. The serving tendency of Krishna's boyfriends who run and play and jump with him in the forest, that all comes from Radharani. The serving tendency, servants, the various servants. At home, Krishna has his servants. They're told by Mother Yashoda, you do this, so many things they have to do. So that serving tendency comes from Radharani. Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and all the parents of the Supreme Lord, and he has more than one. Not only is he the source of everything and also has parents, but he has more than one set of parents. So this subject of Krishna is not very easy to understand. Not only Ananda and Yashoda, they are his actual parents, and Vasudeva and Devaki are his apparent parents, although some people think it's round the other way. It depends which side of the Yamuna river you're standing on. In Vrindavan, everyone knows Nanda and Yashoda are the parents of Krishna. And on the other side of the Yamuna, they think that Vasudeva and Devaki are. Well, they also are, but not really. Anyway, there are other parents also. There's Dasharath and Kaushalya, they're also parents of Ram. And the other, Kashyapa and Aditi, and then previously to Vasudeva and Devaki. This was it Drona and Sutapa, Prishni. So there are so many parents. Anyway, all their tendency to serve comes from Radharani. And all the Gopis, they are all expansions of Radharani. And all the Gopis, all the billions of Gopis, who Krishna has an intimate relationship with every single one of them. Intimate means that he's always conscious of everything directly and indirectly. That's stated right in the beginning of Bhagavatam. So he's directly conscious of all of his Gopis, all the liberated souls. They have a very intimate love affair, which in a love affair, the partners, they think of each other constantly. They're always thinking, what is he or she doing? How to satisfy them? When shall we meet? What shall we do? So Krishna is always thinking like this about all his Gopis, and they're all thinking about Krishna like this also. But and every Gopi is in a category, they're so beautiful that no one in this material world can even begin to understand or appreciate their beauty. That beauty is not just physical form, and is not to be understood in the way that we try to understand physical form, but that beauty comes from their pure serving tendency to Krishna. But nevertheless, all the billions of Gopis and everything in Vrindavan and everything beyond Vrindavan, all of it together, which is all meant for the pleasure of Krishna, Krishna finds no pleasure in it whatsoever without Radharani. And all the Gopis, he can leave them all to get the association of Radharani. And actually all the Gopis, they're all simply thinking how to bring Radha and Krishna together. So, how great is Radha? Even Krishna himself cannot say. He finds himself defeated by all the Gopis. Their devotion to him, he feels himself, I'm God and everything comes from me, and I give out benedictions to everyone. Whatever is there, whatever you want, you have to get it from me. Whatever anyone has, it comes from Krishna. So he gives people what they want. Everyone gets what they want. Sooner or later, everyone gets what they want. Someone wants to be the President of America, he couldn't make it, didn't have the punya, didn't have the pious activity, so he can become a leader. Maybe in his next life, by the arrangement of Maya, he'll have the opportunity to be the leader of a pack of dogs. So his desire may be fulfilled according to what he deserves. So everyone gets what they want by the agency of Krishna. Yeyata mang prapadyante tangs tathaiva bhajamyaham. According to how we reciprocate with Krishna, he reciprocates. And he can give everyone everything, whatever they like, immediately. He is giving. Whatever anyone has is coming from Krishna. And he reciprocates accordingly. To his devotees, he reciprocates by giving them himself, love of himself. But he told the Gopis that even though I promised that I will reciprocate with everyone according to the way they worship me, but he himself says that your bhakti for me is so pure and so intense that I have no means to repay it. Therefore, simply be satisfied with your bhakti. So, in this way, Krishna, who is undefeatable by anyone, no one can defeat Krishna in any way. But the devotees, they defeat him. They conquer him. They make him their property by their love for him. And that love, the source of all that love, is Srimati Radharani. So, these are topics we can discuss in a philosophical manner. They're very wonderful topics. We won't find these in interfaith conferences. People are just trying to grope their way along to try and understand something. They'll never understand by interfaith conferences. But those who are fortunate, they can begin to enter into this. And Radharani has come to make everyone fortunate. She has come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Once the then Achyutananda Swami, who was based in ISKCON, Calcutta, 3 Albert Road, he was having an argument with the landlord, whose name was, I can't remember, Singroy, Mr. Singroy. He must have died quite a long time ago now. Anyway, their argument wasn't a normal argument. They were arguing over who is greater, Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, they're the same person, but who is greater? So they didn't come to any conclusion. Then Achyutananda asked Srila Prabhupada, so who is greater? One of us says Krishna. I can't remember who was saying who's who, but maybe I say Krishna and I say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mr. Singroy says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada's answer was, who is the greatest, Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Prabhupada said, the answer is Radharani. Because Radha is so great and so inscrutable and so wonderful even for Krishna, that he takes the role of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to understand what are the feelings of Radharani, how she is appreciating the sweetness of Krishna, what is the love of Krishna that Radharani experiences. Krishna is full, complete. He is Purna. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnam Udachyate. He is complete, and even if all completeness is theoretically taken away from him, he will remain complete. Transcendental mathematics: 1 minus 1 equals 1. 1 plus 1 equals 1, because that 1 is infinite. That Krishna is infinite, unlimited. So he is that one who is unlimited. So even if we take infinity from infinity, infinity remains. Or if we add infinity to infinity, infinity is the answer. So Krishna, he who is infinite, complete, everything is him, everything is in him, everything comes from him, he feels himself incapable to understand the love of Radha. This is transcendental mathematics. So we can have some idea. This Krishna is complete, but then the very nature, because Krishna is unlimited, then love for Krishna is also unlimited. And it's increasing. That's infinity means that it can't increase, but this infinity, that increases. Krishna is supreme. Where? In Dwaraka. In Mathura, he's more supreme. And in Vrindavan, he is completely supreme. Not that he's not supreme in Dwaraka. He's definitely supreme. But his supremeness is more. And they say, well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, that's true. But then, it's not simply by sense that we can understand Krishna. He's beyond sense. Achintya, this term is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught achintya bheda bhed tattva, inconceivable. So Radharani is achintya, Krishna is achintya, he is inconceivable, and Radharani is achintya, she is female, inconceivable. So achintya is complete only with achintya, with the inconceivable feminine principle, who is very sweet and very simple, very loving and very kind, and inconceivably, even though we are so, in this material world, we're so far away from Krishna, and Krishna himself doesn't understand Radha. He understands, but when he thinks about it, when he stops to think about it, then he thinks, well, I don't understand. I thought I understood, but I don't understand. So she who is so great that she is worshipped by those who have crossed beyond the highest theology of understanding Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who have gone beyond that and entered into Vrindavan, she is worshipped by such persons. Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite, the greatest philosophers, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandan and Sanat Kumar. They try to describe her great character. So this Achintya Radharani, she is so high, but at the same time, she is, being the female aspect of the Supreme, she is very kind and compassionate. Of course, Krishna is kind and compassionate, but especially the female aspect of the Supreme. We're talking philosophically. You have to remember she's a person and not just an idea here. So even in our very low stage, we can approach her. Krishna may be not as easy to approach, because he's God after all. He's always God. Even when he's running barefoot in Vrindavan, he's still God. He may forget it a lot of the time, but he is God. And everyone else may forget it, but actually he's God. But no one calls Radharani Mrs. God. Mrs. God is Lakshmi or Sita Devi. But Radharani is simply Krishna's girlfriend. And but mistress we may think, well, that's someone very hard-hearted and cruel because they spoil the family, but not Radharani, because she doesn't spoil anything. She makes everything perfect. Everything's spoiled without her. In the spiritual world, there's no inebriety. Srila Prabhupada used this term to mean, he used it in his own way, to mean contamination. There's no contamination. There's nothing bad. So she's very compassionate, and even though we're a long way from Krishna, we can call to Radha that you please extend your kindness to me. And she, being very simple-hearted, in one way, she can be very crooked also. But that's also out of her. Of course, it's very, very high topics, how Radharani appears to be very crooked sometimes. That is the nature of her love to Krishna. If it's love, if it's just, oh yeah, I do everything nice for you, but sometimes apparently the lover may do something not very nice. She may thwart her lover and say, no, I don't want to see you. under no condition. From now on, under no condition will I ever see you again. She can sometimes say to Krishna. So this plunges Krishna into sadness. So again, that's why these topics we don't discuss very much, because it just seems, we saw this, there's a shop here in Portland with 40,000 books, each $1 each. So you can go out and buy for $1 some love story. Probably 10,000 of them are love stories. You can go and buy a love story. It may seem it's just some love story, that's all. So what? It's not even, the plots of love stories are probably even more exciting. The plot of Radha Krishna Leela, it's not as, on the face of it, even as exciting as Sita Ramli, or even Nala Damayanti for that matter. In Mahabharata there's a long love story. So it's kind of interesting. But, Radha and Krishna Leela, they come together, and then again Krishna leaves the Rasa Leela with Radha, and then she leaves. And then Krishna is distraught, and again they get united. And this pastime is the main pastime which all the great poets have, the Gauriya Vaishnava poets have, beginning, even before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jayadev Goswami, Gita Govinda, and they're all on this again and again discussing how Radharani is called Vama Swabhava, her apparently crooked nature, which gives intense pleasure to Krishna. So she can be in her dealings with Krishna because she knows Krishna so intimately. And although she apparently may become very angry with Krishna, it's all orchestrated by Krishna's yogamaya potency, that simply their love for each other, which is anyway unlimited, it becomes increased thousands and millions of times over. It's inconceivable that love, the feeling of love or lust, there's no difference actually in this material world, but everyone's experienced how strong is this feeling. Not only in the human species, even the dogs and the cats and the cows, they also have lusty feelings, very strong feelings. You can put a cow inside a big high fence, and the cow, when they want to have sex, and then when they're in that mood, they can jump, or normally they can't jump. A cow, there's not a high jump champion, but they can. It's amazing what they can do to try to fulfill that desire, a very powerful desire. But all of the lust, all of the love that every living being in this material world has experienced for over the millions and trillions of years this universe has been going on, all of it put together is not even a drop compared to that which Radha and Krishna feel for each other at every split second of a moment. So it's how to understand this, not easy. It's something that has to be experienced. We can talk about it, but that comes as a gift. For those who are very fortunate, they can be blessed with this gift of prema, pure love for Krishna. Atendriya priti vancha tare bale kam, Krishnendriya priti ichad hare premonam. What is called love in this world is just another way to satisfy our senses. But that is lust. But the desire to please Krishna, that is called prem. In English there's only one word, love. But there's a very great difference between the desire, what is called love in this world, and the pure spiritual love. So that if one is given that gift, when one is simply desirous to intensely serve Krishna, then he is admitted into Vrindavan and admitted into the service of the servants of Radharani, and maybe allowed some service there. And then one can begin to understand these pastimes. But again, it's not, on that platform, it's not a matter of sitting down and thinking about it. It's a matter of doing it and acting on that platform. So that Radha, who is so high and so apparently crooked sometimes in her dealings with Krishna, for an aspiring devotee who prays to her that please give me the opportunity to serve Krishna, then simple-hearted Radha will very easily accept. Yes, please come. You want to serve Krishna? Very good. Krishna should be served. Let Krishna be pleased in all respects. She's not a miser that she will keep all the service to herself. Let everyone come and serve. She wants to see everyone is engaged in Krishna's service. Let everyone serve more and more and more. So we approach Radha to go to Krishna. We approach Radha through the disciplic succession, those who are teaching others about Krishna, those who have accepted in their care devotees to take them step by step to Vrindavan. Gurus in Krishna consciousness, they are either they're seen either as a representative of Nityananda Prabhu or Srimati Radharani. So through the disciplic succession we approach Krishna, especially on Radhashtami. We approach Radha and say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We pray Hare Hare. Oh, Radha, the energy of Krishna, she is to be approached first. Please engage me in the service of Krishna. This is how Srila Prabhupada, he told us, what is the meaning of this Maha Mantra? There's no verb there. Please engage me in the service. There's no word service. But if we are actually to approach Krishna in bhakti, then it must be with service. And Hara is addressed as Hare. Hara means Radha. So we approach her. This is her department, service department. Krishna is in the God department. He's the supreme enjoyer. For us, we have to approach the service department. We are here to do some service. So we approach through Radha, who will accept that. And if she will accept, if we're sincere to serve, she will accept that. And if she accepts, then Krishna accepts. So we approach her, the kind, compassionate Radharani, and ask, you please engage me in Krishna's service. So, like I said, usually on this day we listen to different pastimes, but we can listen, but it'll be very difficult to actually enter into the spirit of that unless we cultivate a spirit of service. Otherwise that tendency to think that, well, it's just a story, that may be to understand the greatness of Radha is not even for very neophyte devotees, or not even for very advanced devotees, only those who are especially blessed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. But this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to do. So the Gauriya Vaishnavas, the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they especially worship Radharani. This general term is Vaishnava, means devotee of Vishnu in his various forms. Karshna means who's specifically a devotee of Krishna. And Gauriya, this word, it doesn't just mean someone who's born in Bengal, but it specifically means one who is a worshipper of Radharani. By worshipping Radharani, Krishna will be pleased. By worshipping Krishna, Radharani will be pleased. Everything is perfect by worshipping Radha and Krishna together, which is what is about to be done now with the Abhisheka for Radha and Krishna.